Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Going to read through this full article. Going to give you a trigger warning. This does involve the death of a daughter at the hands of the mother in regards to Munchausen by proxy. I'm not sure if that's considered a disease or I think a mental disorder. So going to read through the full article. There is a link in the description if you prefer to go through that yourself. And if you do get a little bit down after this topic or these types of topics, do take a mental health break. Check out one of the friends of the channel, kinda whatever. They do live streams of a very pleasant nature, so it's all good fun. So if you are looking for a community to hang out in, go check out kinda whatever. And if you do join them, just let them know that Picker sent you. That's my name. You may know me as Picker. So let's have a look at this full article. A Colorado mother has admitted to faking her young daughter's terminal illness and ultimately causing the child's death by pumping her full of drugs and forcing her to have dozens of unnecessary surgeries. Kelly R. Turner, 43 years of age, on Monday pleaded guilty to multiple felonies related to the 2017 death of Olivia Grant, 7 years of age. Turner was arrested in October 2019 and prosecutors initially charged her with 2 counts of first-degree murder, among other crimes. She was scheduled to go on trial on the murder charges next month before reportedly reaching a deal with prosecutors to plead guilty to 1 count each of child abuse negligently resulting in death, as well as felony theft of $100,000 to $1 million and felony charitable fraud. Turner's sentencing hearing is currently scheduled for the afternoon of February the 9th, 2021. She faces a maximum of 16 years for the charge of child abuse resulting in death, 10 years for the charge of felony theft, and 3 years for the charge of charitable fraud. I'm just going to interject at this point and give my opinion for whatever it's worth. I think a maximum of 16 years for the charge of child abuse resulting in death, that's way too low. I'm not actually that invested or interested in the charge of felony theft or charitable fraud. Those charges, in my mind, pale in comparison to, child abuse, which results in the death of your own daughter. 16 years as a maximum is too low. I guarantee that, I'm going to hold firm with that opinion. There may be some situations where as low a sentence of 16 years is applicable, but as a maximum, that's crazy. It should be a maximum of life imprisonment. It should arguably be a minimum of life imprisonment, arguably a minimum of 25 years or, an extremely long amount. 16 years is not justice in my mind. It's not it's not strong enough. It's not long enough for knowingly causing the death of a child. Back to the article. According to a report from Denver NBC affiliate KUSA, Turner appeared virtually from the Douglas County jail and struggled to keep from sobbing throughout the plea hearing. She was barely able to say guilty when prompted by the district court judge. The judge reportedly spoke about Turner's case being extremely difficult because it involved the rare mental health condition Munchausen syndrome by proxy, in which a caregiver causes or makes up an illness in a person under their care, usually a child, and they do so in order to garner attention for themselves. Here's a quote from the judge. Cases of Munchausen syndrome by proxy can be heinous, they can be dangerous, or, as in this case, they can be deadly. It's a horrific, depraved condition which, when left undetected, can result in exactly what happened here, the death of the young child. The judge reportedly said that all sentences will be served concurrently and that the plea agreement negotiated between Turner's counsel and prosecutors called for the defendant to serve 16 years. Again, I'm just going to interrupt the article there, interject. It's too low. So, as I mentioned before, I'm really only personally, I'm mostly focused on the charge of child abuse leading to the death of the child, her daughter. But, seemingly these other fraudulent charges are also significant and would normally attract a lengthy sentence. But, the judge is basically being too soft, in my mind, too soft on this lady, allowing all of the charges, all of the sentences to run concurrently. I don't get it. Why be so soft with the sentencing? Two reasons. One, she's a woman. Does that make me sound misogynist? I don't think it does. I mean, I've been doing this true crime channel for a couple of months. I'm not an expert, but it just does seem to be quite often, not always, but quite often the case that the sentences for ladies is softer. It's much lesser than it would be for a man. And that rubs me up the wrong way. For whatever reason, it just doesn't seem right to me. The other reason why it's perhaps, arguably, and certainly in my opinion, a softer sentence is because the mother seemingly is suffering from a mental disorder. Okay, so I think that's relevant. I think that's valid for that to encourage or lead to a softer sentence. But even so, 16 years all up, that as a maximum, I don't know, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's giving the mother too much of a pass, in my mind. Back to the article. Olivia, the daughter, Olivia's final few months of life were well chronicled by local news outlets, many of which covered her being made honorary chief of the Denver Police Department for a day and firefighter for a day with South Metro Fire Rescue before her 2017 death. Olivia ultimately died after Turner decided to remove her feeding tube and imposed a do not resuscitate or DNR order. She was believed to have died of her myriad presumed medical conditions for more than a year before law enforcement agencies began looking into the circumstances of Olivia's death. The renewed investigations into Olivia's death were prompted by Turner's public declaration that Olivia's sister had been diagnosed with cancer, a claim that was quickly proven to be false. So just to clarify, Olivia died. It was a well-known case. She was given support by the police department and the fire department and the local news, rallied around Olivia, 7 years of age, prior to her death. Presumably the medical systems, the doctors, the nurses, didn't have any idea that Olivia wasn't actually ill. And then the mother, Turner, started saying that Olivia's sister had cancer. And the doctors, for whatever reason, were able to very quickly establish that that wasn't the case, which presumably alerted them to the fact that Turner was a liar, a fraud. If we're going to be kind, a sufferer of Munchausen by proxy mental disorder. So, that's what happened. Let's carry on with the article. Olivia's remains were exhumed in November 2018, but Arapahoe County Coroner Dr. Kelly Lear said that Olivia's ultimate cause of death could not be determined. Dr. Lear, the coroner, reportedly noted that there was no evidence that her death was the result of any of the illnesses that the mother claimed her daughter suffered. When subsequently questioned by investigators with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, Turner, the mother, reportedly denied wrongdoing, but also allegedly brought up the topic of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, and she brought that up completely unprompted. It seems like the mother she was sending out signals. She was telling the police, if I'm understanding correctly, or the investigators, that well, she wasn't directly telling them that she was a sufferer of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, but she was sending out signals as such. To wrap up the article, to wrap up this video, the article says, attorney Holland Hoskins, who represents Olivia's family, said that doctors saw Olivia for over 1,000 hospital visits and performed over 25 unnecessary surgical procedures beginning in 2012. So I'm going to wrap things up there. I mean, prayers to the baby Olivia. Thankfully, her sister was rescued, seemingly. It doesn't give us too much details about the sister, but we presume that the sister has not fallen the same fate as young Olivia. Over 1,000 hospital visits, over 25 unnecessary surgical procedures. How could this possibly happen? I mean, I don't know. I don't want to pass judgment on the medical system overly, but perhaps we should. Perhaps there really needs to be an investigation. Perhaps some of the doctors and nurses and such are to blame, are negligent in some fashion. Maybe there are gross weaknesses. Maybe they're not. The medical system cannot be perfect. There's always going to be flaws. You can't protect over every possible scenario. So perhaps this type of situation is always going to continue to happen to some extent. I don't know what the answer is there, but it is certainly very concerning. Over 1,000 hospital visits, over 25 unnecessary surgical procedures. Why is the judicial system allowing this lady, this woman, this demon, to be sentenced a maximum of 16 years? Her sentence should be far higher than that. Mental disorder or not, she caused the death of her child. She put her child through torture for years. Physical and mental torture. And I don't know, to me, the sentencing hasn't actually taken place yet, but even if it is the maximum 16 years, it's too light. Anyhow, if you do like the video, if you've stuck around all this way, thanks very much. If you need a mental health break, have a look at some of the friends of the channel. At the end of the day, she does very pleasant live streams, as does Kinda Whatever. There's links to both in the description. Or you can check out my other channel, CIS Male, which is rather obnoxious and political based, right-wing nature, conservative nature. So that may very well not be your thing. But in any case, thank you for watching.